you got 42 units right now. How much you making a month?
I do well into the six figures every month.
6 figures a month.
Yeah.
Well, so let's just I'm gonna do an estimate. Let's just say you're making 150,000 off of 42 units.
Yeah, it's more than that, but again, keep in mind because the 9 is doing 65 by itself.
Wow.
Right, for the government, the one we originally started talking about. Right. I have 5 more. I don't normally tell this part of the story. I have 5 more under a separate government contract. And here's the thing: my government contract is not a prime. It is not between me and the government. I'm operating as a subcontractor.
So somebody
exactly
over you is paying you.
Exactly. So the example that I was talking about, my student with the 150 doors, that is a prime opportunity.
Direct.
Yes.
Welcome to another edition of the No Stingy Energy Podcast, where we talk wealth, finances, relationships,
health,
and much more. Yeah, health too.
A little bit of health. Little bit of health.
We need to talk more health.
Yeah. We need to get you in the gym. We need to do that.
We absolutely do. That's a fact. I'm not debating.
Yeah, man.
So we got my guy Noble in the building. It's been, I've heard a tremendous amount about you. It's funny because we had an Airbnb show, like the last one we had, and TJ was like, "Nah, I can't do the show without Noble."
Yeah.
I'm like, so what's going on with Noble, man?
What's the hype about?
What's the hype? Yeah.
Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah.
We know what the hype is now.
We know what the hype is now.
We got to break it down.
But it's like humble. Noble come across so humble.
That's how it's supposed to be, though.
His spirit humble, so he's like you never know. Unassuming.
I think you like it like that, though.
I mean, I'm just being me.
That's it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, we got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
We got a lot to talk about.
Let's get it.
So look, man, you ready?
Hey, let's get it.
Well, listen, my name is Byron, real estate investor out of Houston, Texas. Primarily focused on the wholesale space. Do a little bit of creative finance, fix and flip, new construction. New to the build to rent space and excited about that thoroughly. Got my guy in the building. What's going on?
What's up? Well, Neil Parker, real estate investor, entrepreneur. Man, I'm focused on cash flow. I like cash flow, but do all things in real estate as well. And man, I'm excited to talk about today because I'm trying to get into that. I'm trying to get into this government money. That's what I want.
Yeah, my mind is still
I'm doing the wrong thing. I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. You working too hard.
I'm working hard, bro. we had Welby last week. You know what I'm saying? He got me feeling like I'm working too hard.
Yeah.
And I know will make it even worse.
Because he's recession proof.
Yeah, Welby was talking about got a 4-unit building making $6,000 a month.
Yeah,
that's 4 units. Noble got 9 units
making
$65,000 a month.
Ooh.
So, we doing the wrong things, man.
Absolutely. So, Noble, you mind introducing yourself to the people who may not know?
Absolutely, for sure. So my name is Noble. I'm the co-founder of a hospitality brand based in Texas and been in the short-term rental space for about 6 years now. And then over the past few years, I've been in the government contract space with my short-term rental business. So we'll get into that. But super excited to be here. Appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. Yeah,
I think we're more excited than you, though.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a fact. So you mentioned 2 things that's important. You said government contracting, short-term rental. Now,
that's a combination you don't hear too often.
You don't hear that combination.
Yeah.
And also, we know that short-term rental's been under a lot of scrutiny lately.
A lot of pressure.
And we got a lot of folk going broke in that space.
Yeah. I got a question. We're going to start off like this. How are you staying alive when most people are not? And what's the rules and stipulations that's going on in Dallas when it comes to short-term rental?
Yeah, excellent question. So basically right now, and this is happening, believe it or not.
Everywhere.
Yes, all over the board. All these municipalities, jurisdictions have these regulations, ordinances they're putting out.
You see people business just going straight down or what?
Yeah, we have. We've seen people just cut and run and just, decide to sell their inventory of furniture. I'm getting ready to buy some right now for another operator. So so recently, Dallas just implemented an ordinance against STRs in residentially zoned neighborhoods. And so if it's a single family in a residentially zoned neighborhood, you cannot do less than 30 days, right?
Did you have any in those neighborhoods?
Not single family. I did have multifamily. However, if I had single family and I was operating in less than 30 days, I would simply just pivot my business model.
Yeah.
Right. Because the ordinance is very specific, as it is in most cities, 30 days or less. Right. So then how do you solve that problem? Don't find yourself in a position where you're doing less than 30 day stays and then it's not applicable to you.
Nice. So you pivot.
You pivoted. So in that pivot, did you still utilize Airbnb to market, or do you use other platforms to market?
Great question. So we have a number of properties right now, and over the course of the last couple of years, we've been moving that inventory of properties off of the OTAs, online travel agencies, so the Airbnbs, the VRBOs. We've been moving our inventory.
What's the reason though?
Off of that? Because we wanted to do direct business, right, and not have that middleman there.
So my question is to that, how are you actually building up your business to do it directly if you're not getting the audience from the Airbnbs, the VBROs, Booking.com? So how are you actually building that audience on your own without them?
So first and foremost, for anybody that's kind of starting in this space or they're fairly new, I would highly recommend that they start on Airbnb or a platform like that because it's kind of like your training wheels in this space, right? And there's a lot that you're going to learn. Exactly. Yeah. And so, but over time, so we play in a couple of different markets, a couple of different verticals, right? So corporate, healthcare, insurance, higher education, military, government, and relocation. Those are the primary ones that we play in, right? So to go after that book of business outside of the platforms, you need to be involved in sales, prospecting and sales. Right. You need to get involved in some old school prospecting and sales methods to attract that business.
So I got another question.
Let's talk about it.
So you mentioned a lot of different verticals. I think it was 7 or 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is the least profitable? Mm-hmm. Which is the most profitable? Which is the easiest? And which one is the most headache? That's a lot of questions right there. But
that's a lot. Let's run it down.
Yeah.
So I would say the least profitable for us to date is probably going to be the transit guest, the transit Airbnb type guest.
Okay, basically
so that's the least profitable.
The least profitable.
And for a lot of people, that's the most profitable.
Yes, that is. That's ironic, right? So that's our least profitable, and which is why we took so many of our properties off the platform. So we have 42 doors now. We only have 3 left on the platforms.
And what's the average for one, since you said it's the least profitable?
Of one of those 3?
Yeah.
So we'll probably so those are near Dallas Cowboys Stadium and Texas Rangers ballpark. Right. So they stay.
That's in the dream spot. That's Airbnb. Like I need a spot right there.
And you exactly why we left those in place where they are. But those properties. So one of them's a duplex, for example, in the entertainment district is what we call it, and it'll do for both sides. It might do anywhere from $2,400 to $3,000 a month.
That's cash flow profit.
That's gross.
Okay.
So, but then that specific unit is arbitrage, for example. But the rent is like dirt cheap. It's like $1,050. So for each
your
side,
net probably like maybe $2,000.
Yeah, the net's around $2,000, sometimes $2,500.
And that's the least out of the 8 that you.
So that's after cleaning all of the fees.
After expenses
net
and stuff.
So net by $2,000.
Yes.
And you ain't happy with that.
No, it's fine for that one because.
But overall business model that ain't.
But no, that's the least profitable. Yeah, that's the least profitable.
I'd be happy to make $2,000 a month for a unit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Would you?
Wow, bro, come on, man. That's
but he
crazy.
said that's the least amount out of the 8 different strategies he got.
Wow. So wait a minute. So you say it's the least profitable. Why is it the least profitable, and which one is your most profitable?
So I think that one specifically is the least profitable because it's not consistently booked up, right? So it's very heavy on the weekends. It's fairly normal for there's seasonality built into it, that sort of stuff.
Not consistent.
We hit that slow period during January and February every year
where it's
it's not anything going on. So when you add it all together, it's the least profitable. Conversely, the most profitable and the one I'm most jazzed up about is the government space.
Okay.
More specifically the federal government, right? And so you can do local and state government business, and you can get, guests and clients for your short-term rental properties with local and state business. There's a market for that. But we play in the federal space because that's where the big revenue is.
Yeah, you smiling hard. It got to be big.
It's super exciting.
It got to be real big. So you say the minimum is 2,000 on the Airbnb side. What the big dog looking like?
Yeah, so let me give you a little bit of case study example.
Oh yeah, I like to do it.
Right?
Let's do it.
So we kind of iterated to this in the beginning. So we are operating. So there's a company in Dallas Fort Worth that is a Fortune 500 company. So it's a large corporation.
Okay.
They are holding a DoD contract, a Department of Defense contract. Now in the federal space, there's different types of contracts, but they have what's called a prime contract. So a prime contract is a contract directly between one entity and the federal government. So it's just a two-party contract, okay?
Yeah.
So they're holding a defense DoD prime contract, and what happens is that's a pretty big contract. It's a very large contract. There's a lot of moving parts under it, right?
Okay.
And so this specific one is for training and recertification of helicopter pilots and mechanics, okay? And so under this training, the pilots have to come in and complete their retraining and certification in 30-day increments, okay? The mechanics come in 2-week intervals for their training and recertification, okay? Now, the thing about government contracts that I like is the government pays for everything. In this case,
Top
for the
dollar,
training, absolutely. They're paying for lodging and accommodations for these trainees.
So why don't they go to a hotel?
They do. And so I'll explain to you how we compete with the hotels, right?
Okay.
But they're getting paid basically. They get a per diem.
Gotcha.
It's called a lodging per diem. So anybody around the country can Google this. You can just look up GSA lodging per diem and put in your zip code or city. Okay, and it's going to tell you what that nightly rate is that the government will pay up to. They'll pay up to a ceiling, right?
Gotcha.
So here's the beautiful part. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we got into this first opportunity, the GSA rate, $167 a night, okay? So, mind you, pilots are coming in at 30-day intervals, okay? $167 a night times 30 nights is $5,010 a month, okay? So, because the pilots were coming in 30-day intervals, we were putting them in one bedroom, one bath. They have their own space. They're going to be there for a while. Done deal, right?
Gotcha.
So, that one bedroom, one bath is running us $1,450 a month. Okay, we got a couple $100 on expenses.
Gotcha.
$5,010 per door. We have 5 of those, so we're grossing $25K on just those 5 doors.
Wait a minute.
So it's 5,000 per bed.
So it's per bed.
It's
per
so
room.
one bedroom, one bath.
So you're
with
housing
one person
them
in it.
collectively in one house.
In a 2-bedroom, we are. In the 1-bedroom is just the one pilot.
Gotcha.
Per 1 bedroom. We've got 5 of those. So each bedroom is making $5K a month. There's 5 1-bedrooms. That's $25K a month. Now here's where it gets good.
Okay.
It's already
We
good.
have 2-bedroom, 2-bath units. Okay.
Okay.
The mechanics only come in 2-week intervals, so we're doubling them up. They each have a bed and bath, and they share the living and kitchen, that communal space.
Okay.
But because there is a second bath and there's 2 bedrooms, it qualifies as its own billing. And so we can charge double for the 2-bedroom, 2 baths. So we're charging $167 a night times 30 nights times 2 people.
Oh, my
so the
God.
2-bed, 2 baths are generating $10,020 a month every month consistently. Together with the 1-bedrooms, that's $65K a month. That's how we get to it. Here's the deal. Here's where it gets even better. This is a 5-year contract. We're in year 3. This is every month on autopilot, repeat revenue.
So you're making
Guaranteed revenue.
$65,000 a month for 7 years. It's 7 years total or 5 years?
For 5 years.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
So
That changed your life, boy.
Easy. So wait a minute. So
That's a bag.
why wouldn't that person want to be in a hotel by themselves with that same 167?
Great question. So if you are, for those of us that are in the space, in the short-term rental space, like our product, our USP, our unique selling proposition is the product differentiator. Our product in a short-term rental property that has all the amenities of a home is far superior than a hotel product. Hands down. So
You're in your own space, too.
You got your own space.
Exactly.
But you don't have cleaners. You don't have that piece.
Oh, but you can. So there's add-on and upsell opportunities with this too. So I'm just talking about the bedroom revenue. Absolutely. There's add-on and upsell opportunities with this too, right? So there's a number of ways to monetize it. But at the end of the day, if you look at like product versus product, ours is far superior than a hotel room.
Absolutely.
Damn.
That's a fact.
This is crazy, man.
So wait a minute. So you're far superior in a in the way the aesthetics of the property look, but you're not far superior in a accommodation standpoint from cleaning every day, all of the things. How are you getting around that? And then what is the price differential that makes you more competitive?
Yeah, great question. So there is no price differential, right?
Okay.
So with the GSA rate, so like in Dallas-Fort Worth, $167 a night. So that's your ceiling. You can't exceed that GSA rate,
Gotcha.
right? So now a hotel, and there are a couple, so we're basically on a list. So when these people are coming in for their training, they get to choose where they want to stay.
Gotcha.
But when they're looking at our product versus, Holiday Inn Express or anything like that, it's a no-brainer. So we stay booked. Like, we just stay booked. And then that's just based off those 9 doors. And so from a price standpoint, the hotels can drop their price lower than that $167 a night. And there are a couple of them that do, but still the value of what you're getting for your money, it doesn't compare.
So they don't complain about the cleaning?
No, not at all. So we have an option where, especially for the 30-night stays, for the pilots, we will have a cleaner show up once or twice.
Gotcha.
So, and then they have the option of adding additional cleanings, but there's an additional fee on that, right? But they're happy to pay that for somebody to come if they want them once a week to come in. They're happy to pay that. So there are options for them to get additional cleanings.
That's crazy, dog. So hold on. So these government contracts for houses like that, you say you're working with pilots specifically. What about if somebody don't have an airport near? Do they still have contracts for just other people, like other industries, like let's just say a railroad crew or anything else?
Yes. So with this specific one that I just referenced, this one is not near an airport. However, the training is specifically for pilots and helicopter mechanics. Okay. And so it's a very specific training, but the training is being put on through the Department of Defense, right? And they're the ones paying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you get a check every month for $65,000?
Yes.
Is direct deposit?
So with this one, we're gonna get to that in a second. So there's a couple of ways you can get paid from the government.
Yeah, I want to know.
So with this one, because the trainees have the option of picking where they're gonna stay, then they'll pay for it themselves, and it's reimbursable because it doesn't exceed the GSA rate. Now, here's the thing. Before we put these properties into play under this contract, they were running as traditional Airbnb properties. A lot of people don't understand the government will not reimburse federal employees, service members, anybody in that sector for Airbnb stays.
Why is that?
They don't. That's just not something that they are on board with. They don't understand Airbnb. They're not in bed with Airbnb. They won't reimburse for Airbnb stays. So this is very much a direct booking play where, yes, they have to book direct with us, and they're able to get that reimbursed because we don't exceed the GSA rate.
This is like a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So how did you even get to this point?
Yeah.
I need to know that.
So let me give you a little backstory. So in my previous life, in my W-2 I'm going to date myself a little bit, back in 2014.
What you was doing?
Yeah, so I was working for a technology company, and that's kind of my background in technology and sales and marketing and stuff. Working for a technology company. One of the companies I worked for was fairly new. It was a fairly new startup company. And part of my role was to get us in a position to get technology contracts at the federal level. So that's how I cut my teeth on it and learned it. And so then I had a light bulb moment in my short-term rental business one day. Why am I not doing this in this business? It's just a different product or service, but the process is the same to position your company, your entity to do business at the federal level. And once we implemented that, it was just up and to the right.
So how would somebody even position themselves to start getting like these types of contracts? And why would you even share it with the public?
Well, first of all, the reason I love talking about this. I get super excited. I start talking fast.
I'm excited.
Right? But here's the reality. Here's how I like to explain it. The federal government has the single largest accounts payable on the planet. The U.S. federal government.
Facts.
Larger than any other country, organization, entity, enterprise, whatever, right? And a lot of that money is allocated to federal contracts, to contract work. And then there's money that's set aside for small business enterprises, specifically woman-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned, right? Business enterprises. And so there's a lot more opportunity out there than people realize, so much so that there's a lot that goes wasted and unused and untapped, especially by our community. And so I feel like I play in a very blue ocean. So in the Airbnb space, in the traditional STR space, a lot of the hosts are competing for the same transit guest. So it's a very bloody ocean. Like sharks going after meat, right? I'm playing over here in this area where competition is, and even if everybody that's in the STR space could come play in this space, there's too much money exchanging hands, right?
So why wouldn't the hotels get word of you and be like, yo, like,
we need to get him out.
Yeah, we need to get him out. What a snipers.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm so glad you brought that up. So I'm going to give you another case study, right? Now, this one's not mine. This is one of my students.
Okay.
Right? You thought mine was good. This one's clutch. So I have a student. We identified an opportunity. So we wanted to go after it, right? So the government put out what's called an RFI, a request for information solicitation, basically. And they said, hey, this was in Alabama. So this was in Alabama. And they say, hey, we're going to be doing training through the Department of Justice to the ATF. Okay. And so that training is going to last a number of years. You know, it's going to last 4 to 5 years. And we need to house these people during the trainings because the training is going to be in 2-week intervals and it's going to be consistent. It's going to be overlapping classes, you know, at 50 students, you know, each class with multiple overlapping classes. We need an inventory of, of lodging accommodations to house these people. Okay. Right. And they said, however, we need it within a 10-mile radius of this specific base. Okay.
Wow.
And so we identified the opportunity, right? Myself and a student I'm working with. And so we said, let's go after this. So in the RFI phase, the request for information, the government's just gathering information to see how feasible this is gonna work. And so in that phase, we responded to the RFI, right?
Okay. And
we pitched short-term rentals using apartment units. Okay. Now they specifically called out hotels in this RFI. They said hotels and motels. We pitched STRs, and we gave a very defined answer of why we think STRs would be at the same price point as a hotel would be a better option. Because again, you got that GSA ceiling, right? Yes, so same price point, but better option. So they said there's a 50-door minimum for this opportunity. You have to be able to come to the table with 50 doors and be able to provide that for 5 years. Okay. So we said, we don't know if they're going to accept the STR play because we're introducing it to the Department of Justice through the ATF. We're introducing it to them. So what we did was we said, and I taught them this strategy too, we're going to go out, we're going to broker some hotel rooms. Yes.
So how they work?
So this is what we did. This is what we did.
We have to break that down.
So then I had my man and his team go out and talk to, inside this 10-mile radius, the government had a requirement for, talk to hotels in the space who weren't, one, aware that there was even a solicitation out from the government for this space. Why wouldn't they be aware? Because they don't have the sales team that's active in the space.
You have to be aware after the government contract. Yes. And then I go knock on your door
then canvas that inside that 10-mile radius, find some hotel opportunities where we can partner with them. We'll put the rooms under contract and then we'll resell them back to the federal government. So what he was able to do was go out and partner with a Marriott Fairfield Inn and a Marriott Courtroom, 50 doors each.
So you got 100 doors.
We pitched the apartment community was a new development, 50 doors, 150 doors. So submitted the solicitation, right? This gets good. Submitted the solicitation.
Damn.
Had to wait a couple months. They're doing their thing, this, that, and the other. They came back. They said, not only are you an award recipient for this contract, but we're interested in all the properties, all 3 of them. Okay,
all 150.
All 3 properties. The value of this contract is $7.4 million over 5 years. He just got awarded that less than 2 weeks ago.
Damn.
So wait a minute. Oh my God.
That's
so what's the spread difference?
What's that bag
between the hotel price and the government price?
Yeah. So here's what I'll tell you because I can't disclose everything. But here's what I'll tell you. So we're brokering the hotels. There was two things that came into play. One, the government said if you're basically participating kind of like as a broker middleman, you have to get an LOI from the ownership of the property to submit with your bid response to say that they're.
And for the people who may not know, what's the LOI?
It's a letter of intent.
Gotcha.
So you have to get a letter of intent on their letterhead with their ownership information saying that, yes, they'll partner with you to make their inventory available for this specific use case. Okay.
So you had to get with management or had to get with the actual owner?
So both owners of the Fairfield and the Courtyard wrote LOIs for us to submit along with our bid response.
And why wouldn't they just undercut you?
One, they didn't know about it. Two, they didn't have time to even submit. It takes a while to work through a submittal. Well, they didn't have the knowledge, nor did they have the time or the expertise.
How did you actually get in touch with the owner though? Because I know a lot of people may think that's hard to do.
So not necessarily. So I have a hotel background too. So I started in hotels back in the 90s. But so in hotels, and it doesn't matter, even the smaller ones, limited stay properties, there's typically going to be one or more salespeople. So the limited stay, the Fairfield, there's one salesperson. But they handle a lot of different verticals outside of corporate and stuff. One of those is the government space. So some people have more knowledge of it than others. But typically one salesperson, they can't juggle all of their sales activity and submit a bid response. There's way too much. In larger full service hotels, you may have a team of salespeople. It could be 4, 5, 10, depending how large the property is. There may be one or more solely dedicated to the government market, right?
Gotcha.
And so they would have more knowledge of something like this, but typically the government isn't looking for a full-on, full-service, large hotel property, right? So that's how, so to answer your question about the spread, so the idea is you want to go in, let them know, this is what we want to partner with you on, basically, for X amount of doors, 50 minimum, over 5 years, and the client is the federal government. And so we want to put those doors under contract should we win this bid opportunity. And we want to partner with you in that. So that's guaranteed revenue for the hotel owner.
Absolutely.
Yep. And from the federal government. And then we're just keeping the spread. So in this instance, he was able to negotiate enough of a spread where he doesn't have to worry about check-ins and check-outs. He doesn't have to worry about cleaning. He doesn't have to worry about laundries and linens and wake-up calls. None of that. He collects his check every month. And to your point earlier about how you get paid monthly, this one is being paid monthly through ATF, through Department of Justice, as opposed to the one I was doing where they swipe.
Wow.
Right?
So his check, so the check that he gets, so that goes to the hotel first. The hotel cut him a check, or the check goes to him first and he cut the hotel a check?
Exactly. The check goes from the federal government to his entity first.
Wow.
And then he cuts the hotel a check.
And tell me this.
Damn.
Can you speak to somewhat of what that profit look like?
A range.
Yeah. So I can tell you that the spread, let me do some quick math in my head.
Well, take your time.
So 50 doors. See,
I pull out the calculator.
I know, right? I'm trying to do mental math. It's rough. So let me see. So 50 doors.
I want to know, man. Just a little range.
I think that's important,
So
let's see.
Yeah, it's going to be north of. So there's 2 of these properties now, but it'll be north of $20K a month per property.
So he looking like 60 or 40?
He'll be north of 40 for those 2, just the hotel properties. Yeah, he'll be north of 40 in profit.
So he $40K a month, no responsibilities.
Correct. And that now, the 50 unit apartment development, that's the lucrative one. That's the lucrative one.
Because he was able to get the rents at a cheaper price.
Yep. Because locking up 50 doors. So imagine negotiation there for an extended period of time with the federal government being the end user clients.
Yeah.
And the spread on that is significant.
It's a win-win.
Absolutely. 100%.
But he has to front that money to that apartment complex. That's a lot of deposit.
So yeah. That's part of the negotiation.
That's part of the negotiation.
Right?
No deposit.
I'm glad you brought that up because the good thing to keep in mind, this is for everybody listening, the federal government pays in arrears. They pay 30 days in arrears.
Yeah.
So you can't, unless you deep on cash, you can't run this play and be fronting first month's rent, security deposit, furnishing 50 units, all of that on the front end. So you negotiate the first month's rent, reduced or no security deposit, and then what he did in this situation with the apartments was he negotiated with a rental company. So then he's renting, but it's a rent to own. So he's
That's clever. That's clever. I like that.
Yeah. So
man,
there you go.
Okay. How does more people not know about this?
So
how small is this community? Because it can't be big.
What community?
the government contract and real estate community?
It's very small. It's very small. And that's part of the problem. That's why I like talking about it, because more of us need to be involved in. There's so much opportunity there. It's ridiculous. And here's the thing. The federal government has a contract for some of the most obscure
Crazy
stuff you could. Hairstylists.
Yeah.
There's contracts for hairstylists through the federal. Yes, I know. That's what I said.
They got contracts for tissue,
There's
toilet
contracts
paper.
for everything,
Yeah.
right? So there's no shortage.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad got a contract too.
So you teach people how to essentially get into the government contracting space by just in general.
In general, yes, because what I do is just based on my background and how I've executed in my business. But the process is the same despite the product or service. The process of getting access to these opportunities is the same. And that's the beautiful part. Once you learn, it's kind of a trade, really. If you think about it, it's a trade or a skill set. Once you learn the trade of like federal procurement, you can apply that to almost any business model for the rest of your entrepreneurial life.
So if you learn that, you should never be broke.
You really shouldn't.
So, okay, what is the whole process look like once you start your LLC? What's that process look like? Because of course you need an LLC and all that other stuff. So from starting your LLC to applying or filling out a form to get a government contract, about how much time is that?
Yeah, so great question. So let me run you through some like prerequisite level stuff, right? Some foundational stuff. So, and this is business 101 stuff that should be applicable for everybody that has a business. So first and foremost, the government, they love experience. So you need to be knowledgeable about the product or service that you're offering to them, right? You can't come in, mom and pop just started yesterday. You don't know what the heck you're doing. That's not going to look good. So they like experience, right? So for somebody that's just kind of out of the gate, that obviously they're going to need their entity and stuff like that. But here's some things that you need to know if you're going to go ahead and apply as a vendor for them. Mm-hmm. The government wants to make sure that you have an actual place of business. Now, that doesn't mean you need a physical building, but you need a physical business address.
Absolutely.
So that means
virtual.
Yes, no home address, no P.O. box. You can go with like a Regis or Da Vinci or WeWork potentially.
What about some? Because I know people, go inquire. What about like the FedEx stores, things like that? You want to stay away from those?
Yeah, you really want to try to avoid any things like P.O. box associated.
So virtual
type
addresses, stick to those.
Yeah,
real
you want like a real office building. That a lot of times they'll offer the mail service and pick up, or you can come and use the conference center every once in a while. So you want a real business address. You want a real business phone number. So typically that's going to mean not your Google Voice type stuff, right? And not a cell phone. So because they can tell. So you want to have like a true business line, like through a company like a Regis or a Ring Central or a Grasshopper, one of those services. Right.
Wow.
You'll want to have your own website. You need that presence, right? The online presence. And then you want the professional email address to go with that. They don't want to see Gmails, Yahoos, anything like that. So you need to be like a legit, true business entity operation.
Okay.
Right. Then go through the whole process. We've all heard it in a lot of other rooms of getting your EIN, your DUNS number, and all of that traditional stuff. Listing yourself on the 411 directory. Do that. Then once everything is aligned, that's both offline and online. That means everywhere your business information shows up, it needs to match. The government's gonna look at it. If something doesn't match, then they're gonna be like,
they're out of there.
Right?
Breaks.
Yes. So make sure everything aligns. Then you want to go and then submit the application. That's where you go to sam.gov and get started in filling out that process. Now, here's the thing. People have tried to tackle that on their own. It can get kind of cumbersome. I'm not gonna lie.
So you can pay somebody to do it for you?
You can, but I'm gonna give you a free resource. There's an organization called PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. They're PTAC advisors. Their sole job is to help small business entrepreneurs get set up to do business at the federal level. And it's free.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can just Google PTAC advisor in your city or zip code. You can set up an appointment to have a discovery call, and then they'll walk you through the process efficiently and effectively getting registered.
PTAC advisor.
Hey, that's a whole gym right there. Whoa.
Yeah. So wait a minute.
Set you up for free.
Yes.
Are they
free.
good though? Is it do it feel free?
Yeah, it's free. That's their job.
But
That's
I'm saying, it's the difference.
They
when you
probably
get
part of the government though, right?
Yeah, so that's
the government probably paid them to do that.
Through the SBA.
Gotcha.
SBA.
But what I'm saying when I say does it feel free, is it one of those situations where you got to hurry up and wait? You know, you get the voice.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So
you set up an appointment, you got to wait 3 months.
Yeah.
That type of free.
And then when you pick up the phone, they tell you, let me transfer you over to this person, that person, that person.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So typically you'll get assigned to an advisor.
Okay.
And that'll be your appointed person that you'll work with directly. Now, I will say not every PTAC is created equally, right?
Okay.
So you might run into that occasional PTAC who you're like, you got to hit them over the head or whatever. But that's their job. That's what they do. They can help you with that. And they can also help you with applying for your minority socioeconomic status. So, MWBE certifications, woman-owned, veteran-owned, that sort of stuff.
How much does those cost?
PTACs are free. That's a free service.
So everything, what you just named, the number, I don't know what initials, the last number you said, like minority number, all that's free?
Yeah, the certifications, the minority woman business enterprise, MWBE, the veteran-owned certification, the disabled veteran certification, and the minority, and then there's another one that's a hub one. All of those certifications, you can go through the PTAC for free.
So once you go to PTAC, you show up, let's just say you make your appointment. Once you make your appointment, like how long does it take to actually get in the office? Like a week, 2 weeks?
So good question. So depends how in order your business stuff is, right?
So that's the most important part.
If it's all in order, I've seen people get through it in less than 30 days. I've seen people try to tackle it on their own. 9 months later, they're pulling their hair out, frustrated and confused, but they owe back taxes.
Whoa.
Don't mess with Uncle Sam. If you owe taxes, don't even start.
Yeah.
Because they're going to check, right? So make sure everything's in order.
Right.
For your business.
And you talking about personally and business-wise.
Yes.
So once you book your appointment, you got the PTAC thing. By how long does it take to get it? Hey, are you approved with the government? You're now.
So normally I would say 60-ish days in that 2 month range. Yeah, between 30 and 60 days.
So I'm starting your LLC to actually getting approved to be a vendor maybe 3 months.
Yeah, you can definitely do it within 3 months.
So now we see where the discrepancy is in people in the space. That's why it's a blue ocean.
Right. Nobody want to wait 3 months.
Everybody ain't trying to do that. And everybody ain't trying to figure all these things out.
And it's a lot to figure out, too.
It's a lot to figure out.
A lot of people, taxes ain't in order.
Yep.
So I'm sure you got to be up to date on your taxes, too.
Yes, definitely.
So that's the problem right there.
Sam, at the end of the day.
That's the problem right there.
So are you using QuickBooks or you using other software to kind of manage your...
Yep, QuickBooks. Yep. Now, we have a bookkeeper and we have a CPA. So...
You got both.
Yeah, both. So that whole process is streamlined. But even for someone starting up, if you've been in business, again, the government likes experience. So, don't be, haven't been in business for 2 weeks, right? If you've been in business and you've generated some income from that business and you've kept clean books, right? Even if you haven't hit your tax season yet, you've kept clean books, then go ahead and go through the process, right?
Well, I see why it's a blue ocean.
Absolutely.
People shit ain't in order.
That's a fact.
I see why, though. Because you got to realize a lot of businesses are messy, bro.
Messy.
It's like, what, maybe 10% of business in order?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So we've seen, and we have students right now, we've seen people that have started new businesses, but they have experience previously either in a W-2 or as an entrepreneur in that space. So that is considered relevant experience to the government. So so then they will start up a new entity, right? Use their relevant experience to then go after opportunities.
So that's still possible.
Yes.
I like this, man.
Yeah, this is beautiful. From a banking standpoint, right? I know that with that kind of cash flow, I'm sure that opens you up to
all kind of funding, lines of credit,
banking support.
Oh, you're a private client at Chase at that point.
What does that side of the business look like?
Yeah, so we have multiple accounts. One, because the FDIC only insures up to $250. Yeah, absolutely. So we have multiple accounts. We are set up. So we use this business model called Profit First. Okay. So there's a book called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And essentially, you're breaking your banking down into like 5 different categories. So you're separating your taxes out, right? You're separating your OpEx out. You're separating your paying yourself out, right? You're separating your, paying your people out. So there's different accounts that are set up, right?
Yeah.
So and then what the idea is that you're pulling profit first. You're paying yourself first, essentially.
Absolutely.
Right. And so once we executed that model, because of the amount of revenue that we had coming in, it required us to open up multiple business accounts, right?
Yeah. Sound like them accounts
the beautiful thing
heavy.
is our taxes are what we would anticipate to pay in taxes are set aside. Now, what this business will do, both personally and professionally, you'll be taxed differently, right? Because it's a very high cash flow business, right? But that's a good thing because then it makes you more intentional about going and purchasing, wealth generating assets. So then going out and purchasing real estate to offset that, right? So, but from a banking perspective, all of our banks love us. But here's the thing: we are really good with the smaller regional banks and the credit unions, right?
Are they opening lines of credit for y'all?
Absolutely.
They're doing basically whatever y'all want because y'all bringing in so much money.
Yes. And flow.
Yes.
And
it's guaranteed, and they understand our business model, and we built these relationships with the bankers.
So what do those lines of credit look like when you're bringing in that kind of money?
Yeah, so we can do signature loans now, where we're just walking. Yeah, so that's different. That hits different.
Break down on a signature loan.
Yeah, so a signature loan is basically where you can walk in and you can get a loan just by writing your signature. So it's not
no qualifications,
no personal qualifications on it. They look at the the revenues that your business is generating. But that's useful, right?
Yeah.
Because when you land an opportunity that's a multi-year opportunity, like what I was just describing, and you have the ability to go and float the furniture or the first month's rent if you're not able to negotiate that back out, then that becomes very important. So when you can go in and do a signature loan for 6 figures.
So you get approved same day, you get the money same day?
Yes, you get it.
So it's damn near private money.
Yeah.
So I need the example. So let's just say you got a 10-unit building. They want $150,000. You could just walk in the bank. Here's my purchase contract. Could I get $150 wired to the title company?
If you have the contract or the revenue to support it, yes.
You sign it, and they send it the money just like
absolutely.
that. So you can close in a week.
You can close you can close in less than a week.
I ain't never heard this shit before.
Well, at the end of the day,
you heard it
the reason why I heard it because I went to the meeting.
I'm talking before the meeting.
Nah, not before the meeting. So here's the thing, though, because what I was thinking about immediately when he started talking about $65,000 a month.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot coming through a bank.
Oh, it gross. Even it don't even matter though, because they look at flow. Banks look at flow.
Right.
Yeah, and the banks understand government contracts. Like they understand that's guaranteed federal money. Like once that money, so the federal government, just like a lot of organizations, they set aside this money and it's use it or lose it. They have to spend it. And they have to spend it before the fiscal year ends. So the fiscal year for the federal government ends the end of September every year. So
they need to spend a lot right now.
There's a run on. They're just spitting out money right now. Between now and the end of September it is ridiculous, right? And but they understand that that's guaranteed money that's coming from the federal government, and that carries a lot of weight when you're able to take a contract in and say, this is the profit, the revenue I'm generating, and this is the contract that supports.
So on that $65,000 you mentioned gross, what does the net look like on something like that typically?
Yeah, so about 40 of it is net.
You said it like it's a little number.
Well, so here's the thing, because it's not like a traditional STR, so we don't deal with a lot of turns. We're not turning the property.
You're not really paying for nothing.
We're not doing with multiple cleans.
Yeah.
We're not the amount of consumables is way down, right? The restocking is way down. Like everything, the cadence of everything slows down significantly.
Because
so
you're not
this
doing
support to
quick turn and burn.
Exactly. So that's why it's more profitable.
So what you was doing for your 9 to 5?
So I worked in technology.
So what you was making a year when you did that?
I finished as a sales engineer, so I was doing 6 figures, and then my last role was as commission sales.
So this life-changing money then?
Absolutely. Most definitely.
So let me ask you this: how did your life change from going from 6 figures to you making 6 figures a quarter? How'd your life change? Did you change? Did you stay the same? You bought a little whip?
Good question. So a little bit of backstory.
Yeah.
So people kind of understand the context. So I was doing the W-2 thing. I liked my job.
Yeah.
I would have never envisioned being an entrepreneur. I like my job. My wife gets sick. She found out she has a brain tumor. Right.
Wow.
So then we had to schedule it, get it, go in for the surgery, whatnot.
It took a lot of time.
6 to 8 hour surgery took 14 hours. Ends up being. So she ends up in the ICU. The second day in the ICU, she's waking up because she was asleep a lot. She's waking up and just having these bouts, these fits, trying to pull all of her wires and cords out and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they would just give her some more pain stuff or medication and put her back out. Right. So she ended up the second day she ended up flatlining in the ICU twice. And long story short, it turns out that she's allergic to morphine, and they had her on a morphine drip. It was killing her organs from the inside. Yeah. So fortunately enough, she's out in the lobby right now. She's with us today, right? Thank God. Yes. And so she got released from the hospital on Christmas Eve that year, never forget. And so I had to make a decision. I was either going to go back to work and grind or stay home and take care of her. I elected to stay home and take care of her. And so, she had to learn everything from scratch, how to raise her spoon to her mouth, how to walk again.
That's a lot of work.
Speaking with slur, how to speak, all of that, right? Because a brain tumor is like a major surgery. So she goes through the whole rehab process, everything. I go back to work.
And y'all have kids?
We have 3 kids. They're young at the time.
How long you was out of work?
Almost 8 weeks.
So you had to do short-term disability?
The whole 9 yards. Had a $260,000 hospital bill. Even with insurance.
260?
Yep, $260K.
Whoa.
Yep, so that's a whole nother podcast. So then I go back to work, but I got called in for a company-wide sales meeting because at the time I'm a sales engineer, and I get berated, ripped by the CEO on we have Zoom now, but it's a video conference call.
Yeah.
In front of everybody.
Yes, all of the salespeople around the country. I just get ripped for my dismal sales numbers for the previous 6 to 8 weeks.
When you wasn't there.
Everybody in the whole company knew what we were going through and what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, I made a decision. My time is not going to be beholden to someone else.
Absolutely.
I'm going to put my head down and grind and work myself out of this job. I cashed out after I hit a couple of 7-figure big deals.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left and I started a marketing agency on the heels of that in the same space. And because I had been in that space for over 10 years, I had a lot of contacts. Marketing thing took off. Found out what MRR is, monthly recurring revenue, fell in love with that. That's really where things started to shift for us. But then fast forward, I found out about STRs. Went to this mastermind in California, a bunch of operators out there put it on. They were doing stuff at a high level. Me and my wife were like, we can do this back at home. Back in Texas, came back, put our heads down, went to work.
And what year is that?
This was that mastermind was in 2017, early 2017.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your wife is like a business partner?
Absolutely. 1,000%.
And so how is she from a cognitive standpoint, is she having any deficits? How does that work?
Yeah, good question. So there were some side effects and they said this is going to happen. So the tumor was sitting in a place where it covered her, what's called the olfactory nerve. Mm. They had to sever it to remove the tumor. That controls her sense of taste and smell. So she can no longer taste and smell for the rest of her life.
What?
So she lost that. And they said she'll deal with some issues of memory, recall and stuff, like short-term memory, which she still has little issues with it today. But outside of that, she's 100% healthy. So which we're grateful for. So we don't even focus on the other stuff. She's healthy, still here, all that good stuff.
That's a hell of a story, man.
Yes.
Wow. How old is your kids?
So they're older now and grown now. So I'm gonna date myself a little bit. So my oldest is 27. Then we have a middle one is 21, and then our youngest is 19.
Okay. Man. That's crazy. That's a lot of debt too.
A lot of debt.
Whew. Yeah.
Are you still tackling the hospital bill, or you just gave it to the who you gave it to? To the credit bureau? Like, look, y'all figure this out.
So we were able to get a lot of that negotiated off.
Okay.
A lot of it. Yeah.
Amen.
Into the 6 figures because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
brain surgery is retarded. It's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up doing some small payment plan for an amount of time. Got that knocked off.
So what was that negotiation process like?
We can't pay it. Simple as that.
Y'all gonna have to figure something out with this.
That's the house, bro.
Did that affect credit or?
It didn't ultimately end up affecting credit. They were basically threatening us that they were going to attach it to our credit and this and that. But they understand, I at the time
income.
Yeah.
3 kids. Yeah. House, car.
Exactly.
It was too much.
It didn't make sense.
It was too much. It's ridiculous. You know, it's life-saving surgery. So we're like the surgeon who did it, his brother, his name was Michael. You know, so shout out to him. But like, you know, we'll always rock with them in the hospital and the staff and stuff. But for real, like $250,000. Come on.
Yeah.
So what was life like when you had that job? What was life like?
I liked that job. I liked it a lot. I certainly it wasn't anything like it is today because, you know, I didn't live paycheck to paycheck, but things were tighter. I didn't have the freedom to do what I wanted, pretty much when I wanted and how I wanted to. And so
he's kind of like
a traditional,
middle class.
Absolutely. And I was working more than 40 hours a week. You know, I was probably pushing 60, 65, you know, so, you know, it was a normal, you know, working middle class family type of lifestyle.
So how's life now?
Totally different.
Totally different. Let's talk about those differences.
Yeah,
what those differences look like, how they manifest.
Yeah, so after we kind of got started and took off in the STR space, you know, at that time my wife was still working, so she was working in the school district. So retired my wife, right?
Nice.
Immediately.
Shout out to that.
Yeah, she started the business with me. And we done been through it. We've been married, be 29 years in October.
Damn, that's my age, man.
Been through it.
So I was able to date myself. So we've been through it. We've been through it all. She's been with me the whole time. So retired her. She hadn't worked since, you know, not for anyone else. And then have been able to do some things, you know, for my family, for my parents, for my sisters, you know, for extended family, for her family. And so it's different when you're the kind of the first in your generation or even in multiple generations to be able to do things for your loved ones.
Right.
That don't include, you know, struggle or don't include, you know, we'll do it next year or something like that. Because that's where we came from. Right. And my parents certainly didn't have any money.
So is that, I hear you saying that, do you have good times with that and bad times, or are they all good? Because you know when you highly successful in your family, everybody coming to you like, you know, I just need 5,000. I just need 5,000 by today.
Yeah.
You know,
that's an excellent question.
Like, how is that?
So the sad reality is that you kind of grow beyond some people, and that includes family. And that's the sad part.
That's real.
What you mean by that, grow beyond people?
So you know, on the way up, like you can't take everyone with you.
No,
you would like to if you could, but one, not everyone's cut out for it.
Facts.
Right? And some people are going to drag you down more than push you up, right? And then, you know, some people don't have a desire for financial freedom or wealth or anything like that, right? And so you know, we have to move with people that we have synergy with that are moving in the same direction, right? And so, unfortunately, for some of those are family members, you know, that we can't rock with like we used to. We're gonna go to the picnic. We're gonna eat the barbecue.
We're
gonna
smile and shake the hand, but after that,
get out my face.
And then to your point, like, you know, people do ask, hey,
I know.
You know, hey, cuz, you know, I got, you know,
they come with that bullshit, but at the beginning, how you been? Hey man, get to the point.
Exactly. So there
get
is
to the
that.
proposition.
Yeah.
What you want?
So there is that. But outside of that, I mean, it's just, you know, to be able to put, you know, I have 2 kids going to Texas Tech University.
Wow.
To be able to afford that, quite frankly,
Yeah.
tuitions
Good,
on
huh?
top. Yes. Like to be able to do stuff like that.
Stress-free.
Yes.
That's a beautiful situation.
Hey, bad, bro. Because a lot of
beautiful-
people, you know, a lot of people stressed out, bro.
That's a fact.
But I know earlier you mentioned you have 8 different strategies how you making money. What is your favorite? Because I don't think we covered the favorite. We covered the least profitable and the less profitable. What is your absolute favorite at this time?
So I definitely the government's my favorite, but I'll tell you my second favorite,
What's your second?
which is something we just recently started doing.
Okay, how
right.
recent?
So 8 months. 8
So
months
it's
ago.
fresh.
Yeah, it's very fresh.
It's a new baby.
It's new, and I'm super excited about it. Right,
Nice.
so
I'm excited
it's
too.
And what's funny is because I was on the Clubhouse on the room the other day with you guys, and one of the gentlemen brought it up, and I was thinking, man, he about to drop all the songs.
Yeah.
So he brought it up, but basically, it's providing accommodations for the aviation space, right? Primarily,
So that's the untapped market.
very much by our community, certainly. Primarily for pilots and flight attendants. Okay, so here's how we came into this opportunity, right? So I have a cousin. He's out of Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
He gets hired on with Southwest. He has to do his training in Dallas at their headquarters. Okay?
Absolutely.
So they fly him out. He goes through the training, ends up getting the job, and then he gets stationed in Dallas. Now, mind you, he's got his own place in Tampa. And so he goes through his, whole probationary phase and this, that, and the other. And then when he gets his, wings or whatever, then I ask him, where have you been? Like, cuz, where you been staying? He was like, we're staying at a crash pad. And I was like, well, what is that? And he was like, it's like temporary housing for flight attendants and pilots. And I was like, really? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Long story short, so I got to go out to the property, walk the property, check it out, everything. I was like, here's the thing. Crash pads inherently are very poorly run, mismanaged, borderline basement properties.
Whoa.
Sounds
Yes.
You
I'm
saw
trying to be nice,
opportunity.
but yes.
You saw blue ocean.
Yes. And so I was like, okay, so how does this work? So basically, it's like hostels almost, if you think about it. And this is an industry norm. This is not like, hey, we're not used to this. We don't want to do it.
Yeah.
This is
what it is.
Yes,
Crash pads.
for decades. And
And
I
where
didn't
do they
even know
keep
it.
these crash pads at? What do they typically?
So a lot of them are houses, single family houses. So this was a house. It was a 2-story house. It was a 4-bedroom.
Okay.
And so all the bedrooms had bunk beds in them. And so basically the flight attendants and pilots, they will rent the bed by the month. And then it renews every month.
Bed.
Yes,
Bunk
a
bed.
single bunk bed. Now, the kitchen, living, all the
It's
public,
shared.
common, communal space, shared. But they renting a bed by the month. Now, here's the thing with flight attendants and pilot attendants. So with the flight attendants, when they first get hired on, they're considered reserve flight attendants. So they're still in their like probationary phase. They're still not getting their choice of routes and all of that stuff, right? And so as you increase your seniority, the high-level senior flight attendants, they're called pursers, P-U-R-S-E-R, okay? And so what happens is, as a reserve flight attendant, you're likely not going to get stationed in your base of choice because you're new.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They're gonna throw you where they need help at.
Yes, right? And then for the pilots, typically there are the long-haul pilots who do the international. Then there are the regular, domestic pilots that are running regular routes. And then there are reserve pilots that come in and kind of in standby situations or for vacation or whatever. And so, so there's different levels of pilots too. So amongst all of those people, a lot of them are not stationed in their city of residence. Now they get to pick their top 3 options where they want to be stationed. And they change like ever so often, like every 6 months or so. Most people say they want to be stationed in their city of residence, but that's unless you're high up on seniority, you don't get
that.
So a lot of them are staying in these crash pads, right? So we were like, this is crazy. So we went out, snatched up a 4-bedroom because now we have 2. The first one we bought was a 4-bedroom. It's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. There's 16 beds in there, right? So
16 beds, one house.
Yep. So it sleeps 4 per bedroom.
Gotcha.
Okay, because they're bunks.
Wow.
We're charging now, mind you.
Hold on. Need my calculator.
Yeah.
Now, mind you,
Break this down.
Our product, again, just compared to hotels, it's a superior product than these traditional crash pads.
Absolutely.
We're charging $500 per bed per month.
All right.
500 times
Yes,
16.
8,000.
That's 16 beds.
Yeah.
4-bedroom.
8,000 for a single family house.
So on the first one, because the 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, so with mortgage expenses, everything's around like $1,850. Okay,
Gotcha.
So do the math, right?
So you
second was a
cash flow $6,150 off a single family.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. Because they are crash pads and they're in 30-day intervals, we don't fall under any ordinances or regulations. So the only thing we really have to worry about, which I would warn people about, is an HOA. HOA can put a limit on how many people can be in the property. So just make sure you're not in a situation where there's a restriction through the HOA. Outside of that, we don't fall under any city regulation, any ordinance, anything like that. And so flight attendants and pilots, they're used to this model. They're used to this hostile model. Now, here's the thing. With flight attendants and pilots, the junior level ones, they have to work like so many hours a month. So they're usually only on the property 12 days a month. They're paying for 30 because they have to log 70 to 80 hours. So they're gone. When they're gone on their active routes, those are layovers because they're staying overnight in a hotel and that's a layover. But when they're not working, then they're in the crash pad for that 12 days out of the month.
Wow. So you can rent that bed twice if you want.
You can probably swing that. We don't. But
They
pay for it for the month. Yeah.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
So is this is not government though?
No, this
No,
is just
it's just a crash pad.
So how are you getting into this space? You're talking to.
Good question.
Yeah, how you getting them
So
renters?
the first one, because obviously my cousin had a network and he had other people staying in it, was basically word of mouth. Then we went out and got a second one. And here's the beautiful thing. Let me just sidetrack for a minute. This is at the smaller Dallas airport, Love Field. We haven't even tapped into DFW yet.
So he had to.
And 2 of our properties are full. Okay? So
you already have 2 crash pads.
yes.
At the
we got
smaller airport.
Yes. Servicing.
It's kind of like Hobby. They haven't attached the other one yet, IEH.
Yeah, so our cousin helped us with the first one because he had a kind of built-in network. But then there are crash pad communities. They exist on Facebook, so you can follow them on Facebook. There are airline communities on Facebook. Like they're like,
hey man, you need to put us in them groups, bro.
so then you can get in there and but then here's the thing, because the STR properties, most of us that play in this space, our properties are going to be nicer than what they're used to. They kind of sell themselves. So
is it any STR people already in this space? Or?
So I just started working with my students like the past 2 months on this. So I got a guy right now. He just snatched up his first 4-bedroom about 5 minutes from DFW, and we about to fill that bad boy up.
How much you projected to make?
Oh my gosh. So he's got a 4-bedroom. So he'll do 16 beds. He'll charge the same 5. But I think that one has a pool though. So he could actually push that up. Higher. Yes. And so like I was explaining earlier before the show, I think it's Frontier Airlines just opened up a hub there at DFW, and they are hungry for crash pads, right? And yes. And so I'm working 2 angles, one with an American Airlines rep and one with a Frontier rep. We're about to run it up.
Man, that's a whole bunch of cash flow with 42 units.
Yeah, 42.
You got 42 units right now. How much you making a month?
I do well into the 6 figures every month.
6 figures a month. Yeah. Well, so let's just I'm gonna do an estimate. Let's just say you're making 150,000 off of 42 units.
Yeah, it's more than that, but but again, keep in mind because the 9 is doing 65 by itself.
Wow.
Right. For the government, the one we originally started talking about. Right. I have 5 more. I don't normally tell this part of the story. I have 5 more under a separate government contract. And here's the thing. My government contract is not a prime. It is not between me and the government. I'm operating as a subcontractor.
So somebody
exactly
over you is paying you.
Exactly. So the example that I was talking about, my student with the 150 doors, that is a prime opportunity.
Direct.
Yes. Those are huge.
So you getting paid in the middle and you paying him.
I'm the middle guy because remember that DOD contract that this other company is holding, there's a bunch of moving parts under that contract, but one of them is lodging.
I got a question about that. So does your student have to get alignment with the government and all that, or he doesn't?
You said get alignment?
Like, does he have to have a SAMS number and all that?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But you don't need that with these airlines, these crash pads.
Oh, no.
No, that's anybody can do that.
Yeah, you can run the
So
plane.
who are you
couldn't do that on
comes,
Waverly.
So who are you?
I'm just saying.
My God.
Because it's right there.
We ain't sold it.
Yeah.
But look. Here's the play though. Wait a minute. So, number one, why aren't they using hotels instead of crash pads? That's number one. Number two, who are you having a conversation with
to make this happen?
So first answer, they're not using hotels. Quite frankly, they cost more.
Right?
Or you're in a trash hotel.
That's $50 a night.
That's
pure trash, right?
Gotcha.
So the level of product that we're providing again is
higher
far
level
superior.
of product,
right? And
even
plus,
though it's more people.
They once they get into this under the same roof together, because it's common in this space in this industry. I didn't realize that how common it was, but it's kind of like a small family, and so they kind of gel
and they're not
bond
there
together
all the time.
12 days a month.
They in and out.
Yeah,
it's just
they need somewhere to sleep. They back to work the next day.
Now, what was the second question?
The next question is
how to make this happen?
Who are you talking to make these kind of connections?
Yeah, so you only need one good flight attendant primarily or pilot connect.
So when you go flying, now you networking.
Absolutely. See, he nailed it.
So basically, what we need to do.
That.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go there.
I'm gonna break it down because I'm gonna think. So basically,
yeah.
what we need to do moving forward, we need to buy first class tickets because you're on the flight first.
Yep.
and the pilot gonna greet you, and you break it down like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had more conversations with flight attendants that, you know, if you're going to be in that Dallas area, if you're stationed here and you're looking for a property, like, boom, hit us up. Like, just that simple. And so you can do that. That, and between that, the Facebook groups, there are some online sites that are crash pad sites, even some that you can add your inventory to. If you add a nice inventory to those sites, you're going to book. Because some of those sites are not
I just thought
good.
about something. Another contact would probably be good for you is like the air marshals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because they
You can
connected
most
to everybody.
definitely- Yeah, you can most definitely. So
Air marshals connected to everybody.
So for us, like in Dallas, that's American Airlines headquarters is there. And fun fact, I rarely tell this part of my history.
Appreciate it.
I used to work for American. I did a small stint with American. So I understand a little bit of the inside dynamic of how American works. But their hub is there. Their headquarters in Dallas. Southwest at Love Field. They service out of Love Field. So if you develop a connection through a headquarters office or with a major airline, that's all it really takes, because the word will spread. Like, I can pick up the phone right now. We should do it live on the call. I can pick up the phone. You want me to do
Let's do it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a
Let's
live call.
Because that was crazy. I'm thinking about
Watch
you
this.
can do this everywhere.
Everywhere.
Now, let me see.
Let's see what you got, man. I like live content.
Yeah,
sir. So, all right, let me see.
I'm
Get her on the
recording too.
phone. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can get her.
Pick up the phone.
We
Pick
live
up
on the
phone.
podcast right now. He doing
Yes,
live
indeed.
call.
Live call.
See what you got.
Let's do it. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone.
Hey, Khalida. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, wake up, wake up. So you are live right now. So don't hang up on me. You are live. I'm recording a podcast. I'm talking about crash pads, right? Your name came up, right? Now, you know we working this angle out by DFW, and y'all are looking for crash pad inventory, correct?
Yes, but you caught me getting dressed to go to work.
So you're a flight attendant with a major airline, and so how important is it to y'all to find a quality crash pad?
It's like the top priority.
See, there you go. That's what we need. That's what we need. One more question.
What's the fair price to pay for a pad?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I know you. So my man O'Neal here says, "What's a fair price to pay for a pad?" And I think, but you got a good rate out in Orlando. What were y'all paying out there?
$375 a month, but the thing is, people aren't gonna be there. So the most I've spent at my crash pad out of a whole month is like 7 days total.
What?
There you go. Bam. I'm so glad you said that, right? Because I said that too.
You said
a little
15.
bit longer. I think I
Yeah.
said 2 weeks, but see, there you go. So the point is, you paid for 30 days, even though you stayed 7, right?
Right, you pay for 30 days, but most people that are getting crash pads are people that are from a different state. So when we're off, we commute back home.
Go
to
home.
Where we are. We just keep our luggage at the crash pad, per se.
There you go.
Beautiful thing.
That's what's up. Khalida, you're going to be on this YouTube podcast with thousands of viewers, just your audio. So I appreciate you playing it.
Appreciate you.
No doubt.
You're very welcome.
Hey, I'm gonna need them connects.
All right, we'll do. All right, we'll talk soon.
Yes.
Wow.
There you go.
So you getting $375 for 7 days.
For 7
See,
days.
it's easier for me to call her than my own cousin, because he'd be like, this
Yeah.
calling me again. So,
That's what's up, man.
So what's the average? Is this 375, 500? What's
so
that?
it'll depend.
Depend on
so
the location.
she was in Florida, kind of like a smaller regional.
Mm.
And so where she was stationed,
It's
you know,
just-
it's not a high airport traffic area,
Gotcha.
so a little bit better rate. But you know, big airports, the big ones, yeah.
500.
Even really, so the airports are broken down into like levels, right?
Different
There's
levels,
tiers to it, yeah.
Regional
so,
is low level.
yeah. So there's two, and I can't remember the terminology, but there's two levels of airports that are considered like 30 million travelers a year or more.
It gotta be
and
Atlanta
those
and
oh, Atlanta's definitely up there. Like
Atlanta
all of your major
and
market
Miami.
cities typically will have one of those top 2 airports.
Atlanta, Miami, and New York is the top. And LAX, I believe.
Yeah,
This,
I think
top 4.
this podcast.
This is special.
honestly, It's
This-
probably changed my life.
This life changing podcast.
yeah, this is a life changing podcast.
If you pay attention, do the work though. Bro, this is a cash flow heavy podcast.
Cash flow heavy, bro. Because okay, so tell me this. Are you intentional about the cash flow, or did you stumble upon this cash flow?
So the government stuff, because I was doing it before in my previous W-2, I was very aware of the potential of it, how much money you could make. I didn't know like amount wise, but I was intentional in going after that. So when I went through my first process of landing my first opportunity, I found, I did some research. Mm-hmm. I found who was holding the DOD contract, the company that was holding it. I found out what year they were in of that contract because I wanted to make sure there was some longevity there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I found out the specifics around the training. It took me 3 months to get past security inside the building to get to the decision maker who was approving the accommodations and lodging for the contract. It took me 3 months. I ended up having to send her a fruit basket to get her attention after multiple calls and visits.
So so
there's a sales and prospecting play that you got to execute and be intentional.
So now, since y'all had that relationship, every time she get contracts, she calling you.
Oh, well, she's still there and she's still servicing the same opportunity. But if anybody, even if trainees call up and say, "Hey, where should we stay?" Boom, like
it's a beautiful thing, man. He was ahead of the snake.
Yeah,
I like that.
So you do events where you talk about this particular play. What can someone expect at one of these events? Because I'm coming to your next one. You already know.
Me too.
What would somebody expect at one of these events? And we're going to definitely drop a link below for anybody who wants to attend one of these. What can they expect for something like that?
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to walk people kind of from A to Z on what it looks like to go from no experience to full-on contract award opportunity. So the example I gave, like with the student I was referencing, he had zero experience. He had experience as a short-term rental operator, but he had zero government experience.
Gotcha.
His first contract was a prime contract.
$7.4 million.
Yeah, the contract value is 7.4.
Boy, he went from zero experience to $7.4 million.
Yep. So he's actually going to be doing a case study about that specific deal at this event that's coming up. And then, so for people that are interested, definitely tap in. But we're going to be walking them step by step on the process.
The link will be in the description if
wherever this is posted.
Listen, if you haven't already, make sure that you rate, comment, subscribe, share the message, because this is a powerful.
This is different.
This is life changing. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times, right, when you look at things like interest rates creeping up, you look at the difficulty to be able to get into properties with
you got to think about the difficulty of life right now. Life is getting expensive. Yes, life getting expensive.
You need hacks that exponentially put you ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hack that can put you exponentially ahead of the curve.
You and your family. As you
and your family. Shout out to Noble.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Hey, man, you
changed my life today.
Yeah. This was really, listen, this is no extra dip on the chip.
No gas.
No gas, no dip on the chip. Bro, this was a life-changing podcast. Yes. I can only imagine what this class is going to be like.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, man. I'm happy you made that drive, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me. Y'all have no idea, like, how much influence that you guys have when people don't even share it with you. I find myself in that situation, but just so y'all know, like, I follow y'all. You know, I don't always tap in, but I follow you. I see what you're doing and how you're moving. And watching you guys got me interested in getting some land to develop. So this week, I purchased some land. So it's vacation rental land. It's in the Smoky Mountains, but I purchased some land in the Smoky Mountains to develop into a vacation rental property.
So you're doing new construction.
I was inspired. Yes, I was inspired by what y'all are doing.
Damn.
Yeah, that's outside my wheelhouse. But y'all inspired me to move forward in that. So
what made you pick the Smoky Mountains?
Hot vacation rental, longevity there, like for decades. Yeah. You know?
That's some high dollar property out there. So, you gonna build $1 million property?
Yeah. So we're trying to decide: are we gonna do like a tiny home community or like a
Y'all looking at the numbers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cash flow matters.
Hey man, well, we definitely appreciate you coming. How could they get in touch with you?
Yeah, definitely the best place to hit me is gonna be on Instagram. You
be posting, or you once every 6 months type of guy?
I post maybe a couple once or twice a week, but I I still answer my own DMs.
Okay.
I'm not so big that I don't
Okay.
answer my own DMs, right?
Are you on Instagram threads now?
So I
Yes.
just signed up today, Instagram threads. So hit me
Nice.
there too. But my IG is noble, noble.crawford.3. So noble.crawford.3.
Nice. So if they trying to learn this government contracting, you got them.
Absolutely.
What else you
1000%.
teach?
So also work with students in just the short-term rental space.
Short-term
too.
rentals.
Yeah, in the
So
short-term
short-term
and midterm rentals. Yep.
Short-term rentals, midterm rentals, government contracts, and Noble, you got an event coming up. We gonna be there. We advise y'all be there as well. And that's it, man. Peace.
Peace.